First of all, good afternoon to everyone in attendance, and we're glad you could make it. My name is Jeff Goldstein, and I head the outbound marketing team at ScanOnline. Some on the line are well aware of what it is that we do at ScanOnline, but I want to give a brief introduction on us to start, as some of you may be newer to your organization. In a non-technical definition, ScanOnline utilizes the strengths of IoT, mobility, and wireless technology to help our customers operate more efficiently, making them more productive. We know the mobile nature of work today and acknowledge the challenges of operating large or multi-unit work sites. Connecting segmented teams together on their task and information becomes a challenge, while tackling jobs from multiple locations within the four walls difficult. Because of this reality, our goal is to create a feature-rich wireless and mobile environment that optimizes how tasks and workflows are completed and reported around any physical or job-related limitations. In short, we optimize how you work, but not necessarily what your work is. Our customers typically hail from transportation and logistics, manufacturing, warehousing, and distribution, among other industries. ScanOnline can install and configure one, some, or all parts of the technology ecosystem, or, quote, solutions that may be needed for your unique situation. We have long provided barcode technology, including printing, but currently we offer services of hardware and wired and wireless networking, handheld computers, RFID, real-time location, and more. We even provide packaged enterprise software to mobilize and centralize jobs within the same hardware, including management tasks. Finally, our managed services group supports, manages, and maintains your critical network, mobile devices, and printers. Their tasks include proactive support, security monitoring, general maintenance, and repair aid. Now, that was a lot to cover, so I just really want to focus back on why it is that you're here today, and that's a key component to our business and maybe yours, media and print supplies. Our guest speaker, John Gorecki, is one of Zebra Technology's most trusted resources in media, labels, and supplies. John has visited a wide variety of facilities across the country to understand what truly matters to end users when it comes to printing. Within his role, John leads continued education initiatives for partners and customers alike and the latest and greatest updates in his field. He will cover attributes and the type of quality to look for in labels and supplies, plus how to measure a true ROI explained through practical use cases. So with that, it's my pleasure to introduce to you our guest speaker and Zebra Supplies Specialist, John Gorecki, Channel Account Manager of the North American Supplies Team.
Thank you, Jeff. Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining today. My name is John Gorecki. I'm a Channel Account Manager for Zebra Technologies and Supplies in North America. And today I kind of like to go over in the importance of labels and media and, the role consumables can play in your business. So I'd like to start out by just briefly going over a quick agenda today. I'd like to go over some basics of supplies. Not everyone is well-versed in it, I understand. I'd like to do a little supplies 101, get everyone level set on what exactly is a label, what it's used for, and how it can optimize workflow. I would like to go over some use cases too, a couple use cases that we have. I'd like to give an example I think most of you can relate to. Let you know about label assessments, a program that we have, and we work with ScanOnline on this program. And some other programs we have as well that I think will add value. And then finally, to wrap it up, just to reiterate with some more detail, the importance of supplies in operations, what it can help you do, and what risks are involved by not using quality supplies. So let's get started with supplies basics. So a label is not just a label. Before I started working at Zebra Technologies selling supplies and media, one of my things was, hey, it's just a sticker, sticky side down, and that's it. It just prints a barcode. Everything is copacetic after that. But as you can see here, a label can be pretty complex, and it has several layers to it. And a label, what a label does is it gives an asset a digital voice. And that digital voice is going to be as clear as the quality of ingredients that are in it. So you have a top coat, face stock. There's different types of adhesive, silicone coating, and finally a release liner. And some labels are more complex than others. Some labels have very simple tasks and don't need to be around a long time. Their lifespan might be 12 to 24 hours. Other labels, though, have a complex, a duty to perform and life expectancy 3 to 5 years outside or what have you. So lots of work goes into these labels, into converting these labels. It's a pretty complex object. So that being said, there are different types of labels for different types of opportunities and different tasks at hand. So hence, there's different materials that make up different types of labels. The main two types of materials are paper and synthetic. Now, your paper, as you can imagine, it's a lower cost item. It is for standard applications. A lot of shipping labels are made from paper, direct thermal, and they are meant to last, 12 to 24 hours. They have one simple job, and that's to stick on a box and get scanned 1 or 2 times and get delivered. Then we have synthetic. Those are more durable, much, much more durable than paper. They can go inside or outside. They are subjected to harsher environments, to friction, to chemicals, sunlight, rain, snow, ice. So anytime, let's I guess use an example. If you're going to stick a barcode label on an oil drum and sit it outside in the Texas sun for a year, you're going to go with a synthetic material, obviously not a paper. So those are the two different types of materials, and you can see there's a lot of different opportunities and applications that fall under those two, material types. The next thing is there's two different types of thermal printing technology. There's direct thermal and thermal transfer, and those are both used in both paper and synthetic. So let me start out with direct thermal, or DT. So direct thermal is essentially when the label has the invisible ink already in it. The invisible ink is called Luca dye. And so when that label passes through a printer, a Zebra printer, and goes through the heat and pressure of a print head, that heat and pressure draws out the image of a barcode. That is direct thermal printing. And again, that's paper and synthetic. Thermal transfer is a little different. Thermal transfer has a label, and it also is accompanied by a ribbon going through the print head. When that heat and pressure presses down on that ribbon, that wax or resin material adheres to the label, and then it comes out the other end with the image on it. Now, the reason being is direct thermal is easy and fast, but it's not very scratch resistant. So there's not a lot of resistance to scratching in the direct thermal label. And also the sunlight, the direct thermal label, you let it outside, the whole entire label is going to turn black. Thermal transfer, on the other hand, is very resistant to scratching, especially if it's a resin ribbon, and it can withstand UV rays. So a thermal transfer label is good for outside as long as it's synthetic. Now, you could use a paper one, thermal transfer it inside if there's got lots of abrasion and exposure to harsh environments. So those are the two different types of printing technologies there are. So again, paper and synthetic, two main materials. Two types of printing technologies is direct thermal DT and thermal transfer TT. As you can see on the x-axis on the bottom of this graph here, you have the durability going out with the different types of labels, ribbons. You have wax, then you have a hybrid wax resin, and then finally the resin, which is the most durable. So the most durable label I think you can get is something that's in a synthetic with a resin ribbon. So that being said, that's kind of the basic overview of labels and the materials and the different types of printing technology that encompasses those. So supplies, once we got through the basics here, we kind of know what's made a label, the anatomy of a label, how many layers are on it, the types of materials and the technology that go into it. Kind of imagine, a lot of folks out there, myself included, before I started working for Zebra, took these things for granted. But as you can see, they are critical to operations flow and day-to-day business operations. One of the examples that I'm going to talk about right now is a manufacturing company in the Midwest. They're ready for a printer refresh, a hardware refresh in our printers. As we were going in there, we're looking around and seeing what they were doing, how they were using their printers, and talking to the operations folks. And hey, how many labels do you go through a year? What are your pain points? And come to find out that they were spending just above $27,000 a year on print heads. Now, that print head is the mechanism that actually applies the heat and the pressure to the label that draws out the image. They're quite expensive. They're approximately $600 a piece. So they're spending over $27,000 annually on those things. And, you know, at Zebra Technologies, if you're buying our printers, which they were doing, they were refreshing their hardware, but they weren't yet using our supplies and not our media. And we pretty much told them, like, you know, if you, attach media to these hardware printers that you're buying, we're going to give you the print heads for free. So they were pretty stunned at that, saying, wow, you're going to save us $27,000 a year. And I said, at least. So that's the thing. We have so much, faith in our labels and the media and the types of material that make up our media, that we know that it's good quality media and it won't burn through a ton of print heads. That's one of the things we discovered in this manufacturing company. The reason they were going through so many is they were using media they were getting from a vendor, and it appeared to have a lot of dust and debris on it. And when you run a label through a printhead and it has copious amounts of dust and sediment on it, it's really going to burn out that printhead pretty quickly. So that printhead lifespan is very abbreviated by using lower quality labels. So one of the things we did is we brought in our higher quality labels without the dust and sediment on it, and started supplying those folks with the media. Another thing that really helped those folks out is that they had pretty much, their vendor was far away, so their lead times and their shipping costs were, pretty expensive, and lead times are a little bit longer than they like, but they got a good price for the labels, but they didn't take into account the other costs that go with it. Zebra Technologies, we have 4 distribution centers located throughout the country. We have one in Wisconsin, Georgia, Texas, and Southern California. So we were able to, when we sold them that, got the contracts for the media, we were able to source it through a factory that was much closer than their current vendor, who was giving them the media with all the dust on it and burning out their print heads. So we kind of solved some problems for them right off there by just going in and talking to them and finding out what their pain points were and saying, we could save you money and we can save you time. We did both of those and gave those guys great media. So that's one of the things where we really helped optimize their business and workflow. They weren't shutting things down by changing out print heads, and that was costing them money as well, because you got to shut down a line for a second and change out a print head. That print head costs them money. So it's just a win-win situation all around. The next story I'd like to share is basically, it was a shipping and logistics company. And we went in there, we got called in there due to the fact that they were using our printers, but what was happening is they were sticking them on the boxes to, cross-docking and shipping. And what happened was they worked fine at first. So, 4 or 5 months in after they started getting these new labels from a vendor, they worked great. Shipping and receiving, the inventory, and then, like I said, the cross-docking operations, all doing fine. The labels were sticking to the boxes. About 4 to 5 months later, we started to notice some flagging, which means the labels peeling up on both ends, flagging up, and eventually just falling off. Well, what they had to do then is, when they fall off, you have to go in, reprint, reapply, and then rescan. And if you do that enough time, if you're doing that enough time with a shipping company, you multiply that, and that's a lot of times a day. That's a lot of money. You're reprinting, rescanning, and all this other good stuff. So what happens was, they initially thought something was going on with the printers themselves. We go in there and say, no, the printers are fine. We took a sample of what they were using and a sample of what they're using that worked before, and we found out that the current vendor switched out adhesive on them. So we're like, boy, this, they changed out adhesive and didn't tell the end user, hence it was a substandard adhesive, hence the labels were falling off. So what we did, we said, hey, we're going to give you some great quality media. We'll never change out our ingredients. Once we have a part number created with a vendor and materials, we never change those materials out at all. we stay that course. If we ever change a material out, we always tell the end users always a higher quality and better material, and we usually change a part number because of it. So essentially, we went in there. They started using our media. They already had our printers. They started using our media. Things stuck to it, the boxes. Everything was great. Operations flowed smoothly. There was no more rescanning, no more reprinting. And then we spoke to them, and of course, it's, well, how many print heads are you using a year? They were using a lot of tabletops, industrial printers, doing a lot of throughput with direct thermal, and their cost on print heads, again, was, substantial, about $50,000 a year annually. So we were able to go in there and say, well, guess what? You're already using our media. You already have our printers. We're going to sign you up for the print head protection program. And again, this is something that, this is something that falls right to the bottom line. This savings pretty much, this expense disappears. It goes to zero on the operating expense part of the P&L. So if you're an operations manager or a plant controller, that's something that I think everyone wants to see, because everyone's under pressure in operations to increase operational efficiencies and save costs where they can. So we solved the problem with them with the labels falling off the box, and we also helped them out on their P&L by bringing their cost down $50,000 annually in free print heads. And again, our print head program is, if you're using our media and our printers, we can sign you up for the print head protection program. So that being said, we're talking about a couple things about some quality issues and some things of that nature. We call those things labeling landmines. And these are the things that can pretty much put your business at risk. You could shut a line down if you're a manufacturing company. You could have missed shipments if you're a T&L company. This affects retail and healthcare as well. Healthcare especially. You want that digital voice to be clear and concise. And if you're using bad labels or substandard material, you run a higher risk of that not happening. So we have this thing we work on with ScanOnline. It's called free site assessments or label assessments. And if you feel that out there that, this might be something you want to look into, like, hey, I'd like to have a chat with someone about, my label assessments, well, definitely call ScanOnline. The folks there can really start the conversation, really get that ball rolling, and, kind of identify your risk for you. Just a free phone call away for you to do that. So I encourage everyone who, might be able to take advantage of that, call ScanOnline. Again, so the labeling assessment and the site assessments that we do, some of the verticals that we play in, we go in basically and look around, walk around the sites, talk to operations folks, and see what, if we can help them out, where we can help them out. And it's been pretty beneficial to a lot of end users. We look at inefficiencies and, hey guys, you should really have these things over here, and we can pretty much take your part numbers from 25 down to 12 or 13 by just doing this. We'll walk through the areas, you get to understand processes and things of that nature. And at the end of the day, we create a beautiful report that we give to the operations guys that they can really sink their teeth into. And this is something, another thing that Zebra does is a value add, is a program that we have to bring value to end users, because we're selling a high quality label product. And we want to accompany that with value adds and programs that we offer. And again, ScanOnline can get the ball rolling. They can call those folks up and they could really, do a label assessment for you. But I think it's really beneficial, and it has been thus far. So some of the other programs I'd like to get go through quickly. Free dies on all custom orders. We do a lot of custom media. It's about 40 or 45% of our business. So we like that. It's a good, good business. We have the capabilities to do that, to do great custom. Then there's, we have a print head protection program, which I went over already, that it is something that we do to lock in business, and just another value add that we have. It's a program that we find it's been, great for the end user. It's something, takes a headache off their plate. And again, the on-site labeling assessment and the labeling assessment, program that goes on, it adds value. It shows you where you might, you can mitigate risk and, avoid disaster, avoid line shutdowns, things of that nature. So those are some of the other programs. And again, to surmise what, using substandard media can do. It's, your printer. It's a capital investment that companies make. There's a certain ROI that's assumed, and there's assumptions, obviously, to go and make these calculations. If reality is different, if you're not putting, not throughputting enough, not printing enough barcodes, not sending enough boxes out, that's lost revenue. That ROI on that CapEx project that you thought you're going to get is actually going to be diminished by using substandard media material. Your workforce is going to have to rescan, repack, or reapply labels. Chasing down IT to, hey, I think there's something wrong with this printer. No, it's a label. So it's just going to consume everyone's time. It's going to take away from where they should be focused. And eventually your customers, especially if you're a T&L operator and you're missing shipments, or, you're not cross-docking properly, something goes to Philadelphia when it's supposed to go to Dallas, your customers are, going to get frustrated, and they may go somewhere else. This is going to cost you revenue. This is going to cost your top line. The prior to, that's going to hit your P&L statement. So those things, those levers are going to move in the wrong direction. So, there's a cost for poor and inconsistent printing supplies. And at Zebra, we pride ourselves on going out there and getting the best material possible and certifying it. And again, we've been doing this for quite some time, so we've got a lot of expertise in this area. And I mentioned our services and extensive customization capabilities, and we have the largest stock offering in the business. We have over 1,000 part numbers in stock ready to ship. And again, quality. That's something, that's pretty important. And people spend a lot of money on the thermal printers, and what you put through it matters. So all those things are, everything we need to look at. And again, any questions, please feel free to reach out to ScanOnline, especially about the label assessments. But, I want to thank everyone for their time today. And again, keep thinking quality labels and label assessments. And again, any questions, reach out to ScanOnline.
Thank you, John, for your thorough presentation today. I think you hit on many takeaways that can help our listeners moving forward. When that timing is right to identify the right labels and supplies for their business. You can forward, again, any questions you may have at questions@scanonline.com. Again, that is questions@scanonline.com. So we'll go ahead and just close up today's presentation here and just say that I hope we shed some light on where your cost efficiencies may be found, while still utilizing only the highest quality print labels and supplies available. Not to mention, ScanOnline, us, we're here to help at any time and in any place. We'll come on site, and we are more than happy to take a call when you need us to. Thank you for joining us, and make the rest of your week a good one.